Okay, so first, you're gonna wanna start with the bottom, and you're gonna wanna put it up like, hey guys, how's it going? So a couple weeks ago, you saw me making a couple of Ackie monitor enclosures out of animal plastics enclosures, which I did custom orders of, and I didn't really show off the build process or anything. So I thought with the two other enclosures I have, I could use one of them to show how to build a standard AP enclosure. And this should be for most AP enclosures, even custom, it just will kind of differ on the size of what type of board you're using, PVC board, but it's ultimately going to be relatively the same from my experience. Now, this does not substitute reading the directions. I would definitely refer to them first and foremost, especially in the future. I don't know, things might change. And I'm also doing this for sliding glass doors. The build should be pretty similar to the swinging doors. It's just there's going to be an extra step on the end where you actually put in the sliding doors, where I believe the swinging doors, which I have on my T100, are already installed. So let's get to it and let's talk about the materials first. Okay, so pretty much all the materials come with the animal plastics enclosure. You should have a bunch of screws, which is right here. This is the one I'm using for my enclosure. And then you should also have some sealant, which you'll use once it's built. The only thing you actually need is a drill. So this is the drill I'm using. You'll need this to screw the screws in. I guess you could use a screwdriver, but I would not put myself through that pain. So I recommend getting a drill, but it's pretty standard, not a lot of materials needed. One more thing before we begin, I just want to read something, some precautions in bold letters about over tightening the screws, which I've had experience with being problematic with AP enclosure, so I feel like it's worth saying. Now, my drill doesn't have a clutch, or at least I don't know where it is, because I'm not that handy, but that's what this is about. I just do it very easily and just, you know, I do my own thing. So anyway, do not over tighten the screws. All drills have a clutch. It basically turns down the power of the screwdriver. You must turn down the clutch. We use a 9-volt drill for assembly. Its clutch goes to 15, we turn it down to 4. If you have a cordless drill over 9 volt or a drill that you plug in, turn the clutch all the way down to the lowest setting. And they just also put a note about recommend 2 people being there with enclosures over 4 feet, which you will actually need to do. You don't want to mess up the enclosure especially. All right, so that was my warnings, and I did actually just want to point out one more thing, because I've almost done this. Haven't done it, but almost have. These right here, so this is my 6 by 2.5 by 4 foot enclosures. This right here is where the screw goes in here. This right here, you'll notice it's gonna look different than this when you go to put the screw in. This is gonna be a lot tighter inside, and it looks like it's kind of like pre-drilled with a drill bit. Now, these are for stacking, so don't think this is where you should screw something in, because I almost just blindly have done that a couple times and then was like, okay, that's for stacking, never mind. So there's, I think, 4 of these. I think there's 2 back there and 1 over there, and obviously the one I showed you. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. Okay, so first you're gonna wanna start with the bottom piece. You're gonna wanna have the front facing up and the back facing down. You're gonna attach the side pieces first. So right here, I believe this is the right side. Let me double check. This is the left side. So this is gonna be on the left side of the enclosure, which is over here. I was preparing for the right, so totally screwed up there. Basically, you wanna put it in the corner, like so. Line it up, make sure the top is facing that way, bottom facing that way. These all have labels on it, so there's a label saying this is the front. If this doesn't give away the indicator, obviously you can tell that this should be on this side because this is where the sliding glass door goes in. I don't know if you can see the indentation, but it also has a sticker on there that this side's the top. So basically, what I'm gonna do, screw these 2 together right here with my drill and with my screws that came with it. And then I'm gonna do it for the right side. You might need help with this step if it's a bigger enclosure. Sometimes these can get a little wonky if it's larger. My 6 foot and T100, I needed help with this step. So let me go ahead, screw this in. Okay, so we got the sides on, we have it standing up. Now we're gonna put on the back piece. Now you wanna slide this into the groove in the back. Might be hard to see, but there should be a little groove. It's kind of very much on the end, it's pretty much the end. But you wanna slide it into there, make it really snug, and then you're gonna screw it into the sides or the sides into the back, but you're not gonna screw the bottom. Wait to do that. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now we got the back piece in. We're basically gonna do the same with the front piece. Make sure the front piece, when you put it in, before you start screwing it, that it's in the grooves in the bottom and the sides. It's good to start with the top ones on the outside when screwing the sides in to the front. It's just better lining it up wise, at least in my experience. And again, you're not gonna screw it into the bottom just yet. So let's go ahead and we'll go do that. All right, so now we're gonna take the top piece, I have that over there, and we're gonna put it on top. Now this one, you really wanna make sure it's aligned well. You wanna start again, kind of with how I started with the two top on the side, screwing into the front. I hope that makes sense. You wanna start with the two frontmost screws and make sure they're lined up when you have them both screwed in. If not, you might have to take them out and then realign it. So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna place it on top. You're gonna screw it all in and start kind of with the front. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, leave me a comment. I'll try to clarify. Words aren't my cup of tea, you know? So technically you're supposed to assemble, or by assemble I mean screw in the entire top piece. So that only means doing the sides, both sides into the top piece here, but doing this portion here, screwing that in, so it screws into the front, and then screwing into the back. The thing is though, although it's not recommended on the instructions, is that you gotta flip this completely over in the next step because you have to screw the bottom into the front and back. Remember, that's not screwed in yet. So I don't like to screw this all the way in just yet because you're gonna flip it upside down. You just wanna screw it in enough that you can flip it upside down and it's sturdy. You're gonna screw the bottom into the front and back, and then you're gonna flip it back upright, and they recommend when sealing it to take the top off. So I don't want to go and I want to do as little work as possible unscrewing in the top because there's a lot of screws here. So I can just take this right off with as minimal effort as possible, if that makes sense. You can screw it fully in. That's what the instruction says to do. I do it this way though. So I'm going to flip this over, screw the bottom in, flip it back up, and then I think it's the sealant step. But we'll see. I recommend if you have an enclosure over 4 feet that you use 2 people, you probably will if it's over 4 feet. This is still even a little bulky, but I think it should be fine. I probably should, if I wanted to be extra safe about messing up the enclosure, which I don't really care too much about overall. I think it'll be fine. I should probably even have another person help me with flipping this over so I don't scratch it up too much. But I'm going to do this by myself. But if it's over 4 feet, you probably should get another person to help you with this. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll attach the bottom to the front and back. Again, just double check and make sure that the front is the bottom, or the front piece into the bottom is really in that groove. That's really important. It can really misalign the enclosure if you don't have that. But let's go ahead and screw this in. Alright, so I flipped it back upright. It is now perfectly complete. The enclosure is done, and now you just need to seal it. So like I said, to seal it, basically what you need to do is unscrew the top. So I'm going to take the side screws out that I put in, these right here. Okay, so you're going to take your sealant now, and you're going to go ahead and just, I use a box cutter, cut a little piece off. Watch your fingers here. Don't need that happening on camera. There you go. Then you have a little slant there if you don't know how to open sealant and use it. Then Olivia, come over here. So basically what you want to do, or what I do at least, they don't recommend sealing the top, and I don't think you need to. I don't do that. But you run it along the bottom, and I run it 3/4 up the side. So basically, I just go along, press it down, run over it with my finger, wipe my finger off on a wet paper towel, and then do it for another section. So is there any good lighting? Is that good lighting? Can you see anything down there, Olivia?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do this right here for an example. Start in a corner. I know you guys probably won't see every little detail, but and then you just run it. It should be a very little line. And all the way to the other corner. And then just take your finger. Just run right over it. Okay, so now the sealant is applied. I have it on all sides. You can see the shiny part. I have it going up the sides there. Everything like that. So it takes 2 to 7 days, it says on the instructions, to cure. I think it's more 2 days. I'm trying to get it done actually in 1 day, which I think is very much possible. I'm putting a fan over top. I need it to cure a little bit faster, but that's how you get it to cure, and we'll come back once it's cured. And we're back 24 hours later, basically, and it feels like it's pretty cured. The fan really did the trick here. I really didn't think it was gonna cure this quickly. I was trying to rush it a little bit. The fan did a good job. I'm actually pretty surprised. So we're gonna go ahead and put the lid back on, and then we're gonna finally put it in its destination place, and that's pretty much how you build it. Actually, before we get to putting the lid on, I am gonna go ahead and put UVB in. Now, I usually have 2 of these. I like to put one up front. In front of this one is 6% to light up the enclosure a little bit more, but I don't have that in just yet. So I'm gonna put the main one, the real UVB one, on there, and it's just gonna be a lot easier to do this before I put the lid on, because I can have it upside down, I can screw it down, not going against gravity. It's just a lot easier, so I recommend doing it this way if you can. You could do it the other way, it's still gonna work, like you're not gonna mess up, but I find it much easier to do it here. So let me go ahead and do that first, and then we'll screw the lid on. So the enclosure is set up and we are going to put in the sliding glass doors. This is the last step. If you have swinging doors, they should be already on and you're good to go. But this is for the sliding glass doors. Now, I do recommend, after seeing how these doors work, doing the swinging ones, because they can be a little difficult. Number one, if you have a bigger unit, it's kind of more manageable. If you have something like a 4x2.5x3, which I have here, or something around that or less, you could do it probably with some ease. But there's not much room, number one, in terms of sliding this in. Sometimes you might screw it too tight and you might have to loosen the screws a little bit to be able to get it to fit. They can chip pretty easily and it could just be kind of difficult, especially sometimes your fingers get caught. There's just a lot of things that I don't like about it. But I'll show you how to insert it. Basically, you want to start with the left window. That's usually the one without the lock, and that's going to go on the back rail. So you're going to go ahead, or the back track. Go ahead and push it up first into that track, and then there you go. Then you put it on the back track on the bottom after you get it in the top one. That's the back. And then we'll go ahead and we'll grab the right side. This is the right side here. Let me just go ahead and take the sticker off that I did not see. There we go. And you're going to do the same thing, but this will be on the front track. So move that. Ooh, that could have been bad. And I will put that in the front track. Slide it in there. Then one's a little bit more difficult. There we go, because your fingers get caught. There we go. Looks like I got it. And then those line up good right there. And it looks good. So that's how you put the sliding glass doors in. It could be really problematic on bigger units. I have bigger units in the garage. And those, I chipped one. I broke a part of one. It was just so difficult. So if you didn't already order, I recommend swinging, even though it really does look good with the sliding glass. Okay guys, so that wraps up making an AP enclosure. Now double check your instructions, like I said in the beginning, to make sure it hasn't changed and it's following the guidelines I showed you here. But as long as it is, all enclosures will follow a similar format. If this helped you out, make sure to subscribe in the lower right hand corner. Hit that bell as well for the latest updates on the channel. Shout out to the patrons, Darian J, Cat and Rick, Mahan's Bioactive Reptiles, Herb M, David T, Angela L, Smoothcat, and Stephanie S. I really appreciate your support. Want to support the channel for as little as $1 a month? Check the top right corner. There'll be more information there. You could be on my head for tier 3 like these lovely people. Check it out. Also, we are sponsored by Reptile. Use code Professor Herp at checkout, all lowercase. I don't really think the case matters actually, but use it at checkout for $5 off your first order. Let them know I sent you. Lastly, check out the merch that's to the left of my head right of your screen. 4 unique designs, really cool to wear at reptile conventions. You can find that all in the Teespring link in the description below. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like and comment, and I'll see you in the next video.